focus of this video is using Rects as well as horizontals and verticals to lay out your tools within a custom Unity editor window. So the first thing I'm going to show is the general layout that I mocked up in Krita to show that the total window size is going to be 430 by 430 pixels, and then I'm going to break it down into 4 Rects, a top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right with some 10 pixel spacing in between. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink that and add it to the bottom corner here so that it's available. And then we're going to start out by creating a new C# script in a folder called Editor. I called it Rects. We're going to open that up, delete everything inside the class, add a using at the top for Unity Editor, and then change mono behavior to Editor Window. We're going to show this window via public static void. I'll call it show. Then we're going to set up Rects, call it W for window, equals Rects get window, type of, and then Rects. And we're going to set the minimum and maximum size. And as I showed earlier via that image, we're going to set both the min and max size to be 430 by 430 pixels. All right, and now we need to add a menu item at the top to be able to navigate to this new editor window. And we're going to do it under window and call it rectangles. So that way when we save and go over to Unity, click on window, rectangles, we have our window. Now we need to actually add these Rects. So we're going to open up an onGUI function, and then we're actually going to create a new function. We'll call it draw Rects. And we're going to set up 4 different Rects. We'll call one top left section, top right section, and then, as you can probably guess, bottom left section and bottom right section. Now we can go back down to our function, and we're going to set up the starting position. So top left section dot X is where it starts. It starts 10 pixels in, and then top left section dot Y is also 10. So that first one starts at 1010, and then the width for all of these will be set to 200, as well as the height to 200. Now it may get a bit repetitive, but we're going to do the same thing for the top right section. However, the X is going to start at 220. If you're wondering why, I'd suggest looking at that image that I showed at the beginning, and that's also on the screen right now. We're set the Y to 10, and then the width and height also to 200. Now, the bottom left section is going to start at 10, just like the top left section in the X, and then on the Y, it's actually going to start on 220. And then same thing with the width and height being 200. And lastly, we'll do this again for the bottom right section, and this time both the X and Y will be at 220. And this will get everything set up at 220, so we'll get everything set up as I have it drawn on that image. All right, now that we're done drawing out the Rects, we're going to go back to our onGUI, and we're going to call that draw Rects function. And then we actually want to set up GUI layout.begin area for that top left section. And we'll go set up a label and just call it all caps top left, just to match what I had in the drawing. And then we'll use editor styles.bold label for that. And then we will end that area. We're going to do the same thing 3 more times for the other 3 sections. So I'm going to cut and paste here. And then all I'm going to change is what's in the begin area to the different section names, as well as changing the labels to actually match. So we'll change that to bottom left, and change it to bottom left, and then we'll change the last one to bottom right section and the label to bottom right. We can save, go back over, and we have our 4 sections. And they're evenly spaced. And again, all of the different pixel settings have been set up based on that original drawing of the layout. So now we want to set up some horizontals and verticals to actually populate these new sections or these new areas. So we're going to add create a function for adding a horizontal. Do editor GUI layout.begin horizontal, and then within that we're going to set up a label, and we'll just call it test text to just get some sample text in there, and then set the width of it to 65. Not required, but it's just shortening the width so there's not too much space after the end of the text. We're going to copy that 2 more times and then end the horizontal. So now when we go up to one of the sections, we'll go to the top left section and add that function, save it, go back over to Unity, you'll see that we have a horizontal where it's setting up all 3 of those labels horizontally. So now let's say we want to add a vertical. So we'll create another function called add vertical. These don't have to be within functions, but I found it easier to set up in a function, then you can call it multiple times. Do editor GUI layout.begin vertical. And then we're actually just going to close out the vertical before we start putting a for loop inside. So the for loop will go iterate, say, just 5 times for now. And within that, we're actually just going to call the horizontal. So we're going to have that horizontal set up with the 3 labels, but we're going to print it multiple times in a vertical. So we're going to delete the add horizontal and add the add vertical function, save it, and then you'll see we got that horizontal, but now we set up the horizontal 5 times vertically. So now we can copy that and paste it over to the other sections as well. And we can even change it from 5 to something like 8 to be able to fill in the rest of the box. And now we have all the sections filled in with horizontals, verticals set up in the Rects. And that's it.